Hello CraftDee family, and welcome to another tutorial by She's So CraftDee. For today's DIY projects, we'll be creating some fun and easy Christmas and holiday home decor DIYs made with items from the Dollar Tree. Now these projects have a fun and festive theme with buffalo check and greenery, and they're all so easy to make. As always, all of the projects I create have the complete supply list in the description box, so you can easily use it for reference as you gather up your supplies. Now before we start, I have to say hey to all of my subscribers, and if you're a new visitor to my channel today, I hope you consider subscribing as well and stick around to enjoy these crafts and to see all of the useful tips that I will share along the way. So now let's just jump right into those projects. Now this project is a holiday Believe wall decor piece. We're going to need one of these Believe signs from the Dollar Tree, some checkered vinyl from the Dollar Tree, or you can use scrapbook paper. We're going to need some of these small bulbs from the Dollar Tree. I also will need some small checkered ribbon of your choice. Now we're going to start this project working on our Believe sign, and we're going to start separating the back. Now mine was already coming apart, but if you use one of those Dollar Tree putty knives, it should just peel it right off. Now just go ahead and rip away any of that paper that sticks to the frame, and I'm removing it from the back of my sign so it doesn't show through my vinyl. So now you're going to take your scrapbook paper or your vinyl, and you're going to cut a piece to cover the entire back of that Believe sign. Now once you have a piece just a little bigger than the sign, just go ahead and cut it off, and now we can start to apply it to the back. So I'm just going to lay that vinyl pretty side down and then lay the back of the frame on top of it. Now you could just remove and peel it back and just smooth it out on all of the edges. Now once that's done, all you have to do is take a utility knife and just trim off around the edges. And I got this utility knife from the Dollar Tree, so it really does come in handy. So here's the back of my sign, all nice and trimmed and ready to go. So now what I want to do is work on my Believe sign, and what I want to do is paint the outside frame a white color. Now you could definitely stain or paint if you like any color, but I'm choosing white for this project. So I'm going to start by going around the entire front face of the frame as shown here, and then I'm going to flip it around to the back and get the inside edge of the frame too, because you'll be able to see this from the front of the sign. And once the inside of the frame is done, just do the entire outside, and here is everything all nice and painted. And now you just want to allow that to dry. So you can follow up with the back of the board too and go around the edge too, because this will actually be showing around the edge, and you just want to give that a nice light coat of paint as well. And then you can clean up the edges with a wet cloth because it is vinyl, and so that will work. So what I'm going to do now is take my acrylic marker, and I got this from Amazon, but you can also find these at the Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to do is go around my letters with this paint pen. And what this will do is allow the letters to show up better on that buffalo check background. And here is everything all nice and outlined. And as you can see, those letters really pop off that sign now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and apply the back of our sign on there, and I'm just going to use some hot glue and go around the entire back edge of the frame, and then carefully just place that backing right on top. And then just to make sure it does stay in place, I am going to add a few extra staples just around that edge just to make sure it's nice and secure. And here is what our painted sign will look like. So now we're going to add our accents, which is some red little bulbs, and I got these from the Dollar Tree, and I chose the color red. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 5 bulbs in different styles to hang from my Believe sign as an accent. I'm also going to add some greenery and pine cones here, and I made these by just taking a small piece of greenery. I'm going to cut it in half and join the opposite ends together. That way the needles are going in opposite directions. And then what I'm going to do is in the center, I'm going to add one of these little frosted pine cones that were also from the Dollar Tree. And now I have little pine bundles to add to my bunches. So what I'm doing here is I am threading that little ribbon right through the bulb here, through the little loop of the bulb, and then hot gluing it in place and then trimming a long strand, and I'm going to do that for all 5 of my bulbs. And then the fun part is kind of deciding how you want your bulbs to hang. You can hang them in any kind of arrangement that you want to. You can have them kind of staggered as shown here, or you can have them going in kind of like a V formation. And I decided to go with the V formation for my final project. So now that I've decided, I'm just going to determine how long I want the strand will be. And so I'm just going to go ahead and first work on the corner. So I'm doing on each end, I'm adding hot gluing my ribbon to the bottom of the frame. And then to reinforce it, I'm just adding a staple at the bottom of that piece of ribbon. And now you have one dangling bulb, and we're going to do the opposite end just so we make sure it's the right size. So I'm laying them side by side, kind of hand measuring that length of the ribbon, and then applying it in the same length on the opposite side of that believe sign. And once you hot glue that in place, you're going to go ahead and staple that as well. And now we have the 2 opposite ends, and you want to make sure that they're nice and even. So now we're going to add the center one. Now this is going to be the longest one, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball how long I want that to be. Put that in place, and then add the 2 on the opposite sides and make sure that those 2 are even as well. And now all of our bulbs are nice and applied. So now you can just flip it over and trim off all of those tails, and don't throw those away because we're going to be using those later. So now what we're going to do is grab our little pine and pine cone bundles, and I'm going to add one right at the top part of where my bulb connects to the ribbon. And you're adding that hot glue to the part where the little ring is, so it also reinforces that ring on the bulb so it doesn't fall apart. And here is all the pine pieces on our bulbs. Now grab one of those scrap ribbons, and this is what we're going to use to add our hanger to the back of the sign. And I'm just using a dot of hot glue on the back to connect each end of that ribbon. Now you can leave the little tag on the back there, it didn't bother me, but I am going to cover the ends of the ribbon on the sign just to give it a little bit more reinforcement and also give it a very clean look. Now once you have both of those squares covering the end of the ribbon, you just want to make sure you press them nice and firm, and then your sign is ready to go. And here is my updated sign on display, and I really think it turned out great. Now I love the combination of the black and white with the red accents for the holidays. And I think that outlining the letters was such a great idea, and it makes the letters really pop. Now it's so fun making the bulbs just a little bit more festive by adding that pine greenery too. Now you all have to let me know what you think about this project in the comments below. Now this project is a frosted glass Christmas tree jar. Now you're going to need one mason jar of any size of your choice from the Dollar Tree or from Walmart. Now we're going to start with our jar. Go ahead and remove the lid and make sure the outside is really clean. So now I'm going to take a piece of just plain white printer paper, and I am going to sketch out half of a Christmas tree on a folded side of that piece of paper. And I'm just going to go ahead and freehand this, or you can use your cutting machine to come up with a design if you like. So once you actually come up with a nice tree design, you just want to trim it all down and cut it out on that fold. And here's what my tree turned out to look like. I'm going to lay it against the jar just to test to make sure, and it looks like it is a great size. So next I'm just going to take a piece of black cutting machine vinyl, and you can get this at the Dollar Tree in so many colors, and it comes in so handy. Now it doesn't matter what color you use for this project if you want a silhouette design on your jar, but you could use any color you like. So I'm just tracing my tree design onto that vinyl, and I'm just going to cut it out the same way we did as we did on the printer paper. And here is my final tree. So now all we have to do is peel off that backing and place that tree on top. Now for this, you definitely want to make sure you use removable vinyl, because it'll be easier to remove away when you actually paint it. So now that that's applied, I'm going to take it out and give it about 3 to 4 coats of this frosted glass spray paint by Rust-Oleum. And here is the jar after it completely dries after about an hour. Now you can leave your tree on, but I decided to remove mine so I can have that silhouette effect of my tree on my jar, and it came out perfect. Now to decorate my jar, all I'm going to do is grab some additional pine greenery and some berries, and I'm also going to use some wider black and white check ribbon. Now I'm just going to wrap a piece of that black and white check ribbon around the threads of my jar, but I'm first going to hot glue down the end just to make sure it has a nice clean end, and then I'm going to wrap it around those threads and hot glue it right in place. Now once that ribbon is right in place, we can start working on our greenery accents. Now I want to put that on, glue that right onto the ribbon. So first of all, I'm just going to trim down the ends of that greenery, and I'm going to overlap them and then hot glue them into place. Now once those are hot glued together, I am going to take that same ribbon again, and I'm quickly going to tie just a little bow out of that same ribbon just for the center of my greenery. Now here is my little bow, so now I'm just going to add it to the center of my greenery. Just add a dollop of hot glue right in the center and then press that in there and hold for a few seconds. And here is the little greenery bundle, and I'm testing to make sure it's not blocking my design. So now I'm just going to take those 2 berry bundles and I'm going to put one on each side of my bow, and I'm just going to hot glue those into place as well. So now that that's all put together, what we're going to do is we're going to hot glue that greenery right onto the center front of that ribbon on our jar. We're just going to hold that in place, and there we have it. It's all nice and secured, and your jar is finished. Now to light your jar, there's a few options. You can use Dollar Tree fairy lights, or you can use a battery votives for the lighting of the jar. And here it is, you guys. Now I just love how this turned out. Now I simply added a strand of Dollar Tree fairy lights in my jar, and I just love that soft ambient lighting that it gives off. Now this would be such a fun and easy project to give as a gift, and you can choose any silhouette design that you love. Now I hope that you all give this simple DIY a try. Now this project is an ornament display sign. Now we're going to need a couple or one ornament of your choice, and I'm choosing these holiday houses from the Dollar Tree. And I'm also going to be using a bamboo cutting board from the Dollar Tree, or you can use a piece of wood or sign of your choice. We're also going to need some poster letters from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to first start with the bamboo board, and if yours comes in the plastic wrapping, go ahead and remove that, and we're going to start to work on our design. So at the bottom of my board, I wanted to put joy to keep into the festive holiday theme. So I'm grabbing some poster letters to spell out joy at the bottom of my sign, just making sure that when you place them, they're even along the bottom, and everything is spaced correctly. Now the J on these poster letters always just I don't know, it's kind of annoying to me, so I always take one of the commas and I add it to the bottom of the J, and it just gives it that extra oomph that just makes it perfect for me. So I always add the comma at the bottom of that J. So now we're going to add our ornament. Now in order to hold our ornament, I'm using these little clear peel and stick self-adhesive hooks that you get from the Dollar Tree. These are the really small ones, so they're perfect for this sign. And all you have to do is peel back the backing and center it at the top and just press it right in the center. And that is the perfect size to hold any kind of ornament you want to place on here. So all you have to do now is take an ornament of your choosing and adjust any hang strings that's on it to make sure that it will perfectly fit in the space that is allowed on your sign or your cutting board, and then trim that down. Now I'm just testing to make sure that the little loop will fit around the hook and everything fits perfectly and it's not blocking my wording. So just as a little accent, I'm adding another one of those buffalo check little bows to the very top to go with the theme of these DIYs. And then once that hot glue dries, all you have to do is to take your ornament and add that back on. And that is it, you guys. That is the project. So super cute. Now, to display it, all you would have to use is some of these Dollar Tree easels. I love using these easels to hold the signs. I didn't really want to hang this. I thought it would look perfect on an easel for on a shelf or a table. So I think this would be a perfect little item to place on these little easels from the Dollar Tree. And how simple was that? I mean, I just love quick and easy DIYs that the whole family can make. And now, even though it was easy, it was definitely not lacking style since it can be completely interchanged. I mean, how fun would it be to switch out the ornaments all throughout the holiday season? You all have to let me know in the comments what special ornaments you would display on this piece. Now this project is a holiday season decorative sign. Now we're going to need a pack of these bell containers from the Dollar Tree. We're also going to need one of these wood boards from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to need some poster letters from the Dollar Tree. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do with these is we're going to remove all of our bells from the packaging. Now these bells come in 2 pieces, so go ahead and separate them into the 2 pieces each. And then when they're separated, I am going to take them out and give them a couple coats of this satin white spray paint by Krylon, or you can use acrylic paint or chalk paint if you like. Now while those are drying, I'm going to take my board and I'm first going to trim off the pumpkin on this because I will not use that in my sign. So I'm just going to use my ruler and I'm going to draw a very straight line underneath that pumpkin and then use my Dollar Tree utility knife just to score it 2 or 3 times and it will just snap right off. Okay, so our board is nice and ready and now our bells are dry. So I'm going to grab up 6 of those bells that we painted. Now on my bells, I wanted it to say season. So I'm just going to gather up my poster letters and place them on each one of the bells. Now the great thing about the size of these bells is that the poster letters fit on here perfectly with no adjusting. So I'm just going to spell out the word season on my bells and here it is all ready to go. So now season will be across the bottom of my sign, so I'm just going to place it along the bottom and kind of space them out evenly. Now at the very top, I wanted to have 'tis the, so it'll say 'tis the season. So I'm gathering up all of my letters first, placing them on my board, and then I'll work to get them all spaced. Now I kind of wanted my season to be hanging as a swag on my sign. So now that I've got my season laid out just like I want to, I'm putting a generous squeeze of hot glue at the very top and bottom on the inside of the bell and placing it on the sign, and that glue will run down and make contact with the board and secure it in place. You want to do this for all of your bell letters. And then you also want to follow up by putting your "tis the" at the top along with a little quote. Now to top off my bells, I just tied a bunch of little bows from that small buffalo check gingham ribbon, and I'm going to place one at the top of each one of the bells. Now you want to complete this for all of them, and here is what it will look like with all the little bows in place. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little greenery to it just to give it a little pop of color. And I'm using some pine pieces, and I'm going to be using some berry bunches. So I want to actually fit into the corners. So I'm going to place one across the top and one along the side, just hot gluing those in place. And once those are secured, I'm just going to add my little berry bundle to the center and hot glue that on as well. Then you're just going to repeat this for your other side, and this is what it looks like. Now I did have 2 little extra bows hanging out, so why not? Let's just add it to the corners there where the berries meet the corner there, and I'm just going to add those in. And there they are, nice and good to go. So once everything dries on the front, we're going to go ahead and flip it over, and I'm going to go ahead and add a hang string on here. And I'm just using an additional piece of that ribbon that I had on hand. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that each end of the ribbon is evenly spaced from the outside edge on each side. And here it is all attached. And then I'm just going to go ahead and follow up, of course, with my little squares of craft paper to cover up those ribbon ends. I just think that this gives the perfect final touch. It just elevates your project to another level of professionalism, and it's perfect if you want to resell your item. It just shows you gave it just a little bit more care. So now the back is nice and neat. We can go ahead and flip it over, and now we're ready to display our piece. And check it out. Now I am so in love with the way that this turned out. Now, I'm always a fan of making worded signs, and I'm so happy to share that you can do this without any fancy cutting machines. Now, you guys, I really had fun creating these projects today, and I hope that they have inspired you. And as always, I love them all, but let me know in the comments which one was your favorite today. Listen, if you love DIYs on a budget, please give this video a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Make sure that you're following She's So CraftDee on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest for the latest news, sneak peeks, and giveaways. Now, if you like videos like these and you don't want to miss the next one, make sure you're subscribed by clicking that subscribe button below, or just click on my She's So Crafty logo on your screen and make sure you hit that bell to be notified when the next DIY goes live. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.